There we go. Hi, Max. It's good to have you
Yeah,
here.
hi there. Yeah, hi there.
Good to have you. We've got Cameron here as well. Now, got some teething problems with this Facebook stuff, but we'll get there with eventually. Thanks for coming on. And now where do we start? It's such a big story. I've met you. Yeah, carry on.
You give it a little bit of a launch.
Okay. Well, we met at the barn, Taipa. They have these kohuiarau meetings. Am I saying that right? What's the word?
We meet Ngāti with Victoria, we are. We're named after Queen Victoria.
Yeah. And what's the... You got the full name of the what would you call it? A political system?
It's an ancient tribal system that grew out of the way they traded. Effectively, the word that we would use would be traded. And they exchanged all sorts of items of value to them. And the most important item of value was always their knowledge about where they were in relationship to the planet herself.
I've got here Te Runanga Kohuiarau. That's the full.
That's the system that's been set up now and brought back to life in the late 90s, having been put into hibernation at the end of the Second World War.
Right.
Yeah, okay, because kohuiarau has a checkered history of a presence that's been a constant irritation to the crown piracy system that governs the globe at the moment. And so it's sort of been there. If you look back into history, you'll see that our troops went into the Boer War under what they call the kara tuatahi, which was the flag with the two red crosses on it that was gifted to kohuiarau, according to the history, in 1832 to fly above their ships, because their ships had been effectively piracied by the London Admiralty system. And they said, you're not allowed, and they said, well, how can we get our ships back? They said, well, here's a flag and we'll sign a deal, and all the rest of it. It's become the history that everyone argues about.
Right. Now,
I think the kohuiarau represents something that's actually millennia old.
Yeah.
It was known to Phoenicians when they came down here to trade.
Now, because I know I've seen people in the past, why would the English have a treaty with the Maoris? They didn't have a treaty with anyone else. What makes Maori so special? They get over themselves. They didn't, they wouldn't have given away. They wouldn't have. Anyway, but what I sort of found out through the kohuiarau is the value of the kauri trees, the kauri logs, because they made the ship's masts, and therefore there was the best wood. They can make bigger ships, and therefore it was a military advantage for the countries to have a trading deal with the New Zealanders. It was huge, and it was a huge industry for 100 years at least, and so that's the real power of it all, from what and it makes sense. As soon as I heard that, it made a hell of a lot of sense, and why there was so much interest in the area.
Well, I've been doing my due diligence for 4 years since the COVID lockdown brought the story to me at the barn, because we all started meeting there as freedom movement, saying, hey, there's something wrong with what's going down here now. And so we were blessed. It brought us all together.
Right.
That which was designed to separate and terminate us, because that's the fucking nightmare that the shadow that's infected humanity carries. It just wants to destroy. But no, kohuiarau was a very ancient system that was, it seems, because as I say, I've been doing due diligence for about 4 years now, listening to Eddie's story. But more importantly, I've been following where the story takes me around the country.
Okay.
And there seems to be conflicting histories about what happened here. And yes, you're talking about a resource that was hugely valuable, and that the story I've heard is that Cook towed a log back to England, and they came and did a deal after that. That was to seal the deal about how much the log was worth.
Oh, yeah.
And the story I heard is that they weighed the log and exchanged it for that much gold.
Wow.
And then there were a few boatloads of said gold came down here to set up the trade, and they mysteriously ended up on the bottom of the ocean, or some nasty chief in the wrong harbour took them out and set fire to them or whatever. And there's all the stories. So then they did the same trick that they've established as the what would we call them, the apex predator on the global supply chain. And they did the same trick again. So they said, well, come with us and we'll show you where all our golden vaults are. Okay. And here's all the gold, and this is all yours. Like, we'll go 60-40 with you guys on this global resource that we're going to turn your trees into gold.
Yeah, right.
And they did a deal across the northern tribes, and I've got some what I believe is probably quite controversial claim is that they did their deal in the late 70s when the trade was being set up, and there was a lot of deception around then, and so the deals were done with people as individuals outside of the tribal arena.
Now you're talking 1770?
Yes.
Oh, yep.
And so the deals were being done then, because that's when the trade in spars and rope began to grow rapidly in the far north. They were very resourceful people.
And so
they knew the value of trade, and they traded differently to us.
Right.
But they still had it well arranged.
Yeah, okay. And it sounds like they picked up things pretty quick, and so they had the trade for the logs, and then so they had a flag that they could travel to these 63 countries. Had the deal, was part of the deals, wasn't it?
Well, what actually happened, of course, was in the 1820s, the ships got confiscated and the deal went down where their flag was taken away from them, and they were given one that was recognised in global admiralty. And by that stage, because of what had already happened with Rule Britannia becoming the ruler of the oceans with the spars and ropes from us, effectively, they were doing the deal with the boss of the world.
Who is?
And so what I've discovered is that they effectively took the Hokioi flag of the kohuiarau Waka nations. They took their flag that they'd chosen to use when they started to build sailing ships here for trading.
Oh, yeah.
They were trading their ropes. Their flax was being turned into muka and made into fine ropes, and the trees were, as we know, sent to prop up the mines in England, to build San Francisco. The truth is, I believe, still hidden and yet to be revealed, but the story I've heard is that the resource of northern New Zealand is what funded the American Revolution.
Wow.
In the 1770s and through to the 1780s, when all that stuff was going down, it was leveraged off the Rothschild already knowing he had control of the resources down here.
And so they were an important part of the military sort of game at the time, weren't they? And which, yeah, but okay. And so
when they came to New Zealand, they knew they had to make a deal. They were dealing with a warrior nation that was not out of practice.
Yeah.
And they lived in the bush, and they knew all about guerrilla warfare, and they taught the English a thing or two about a phenomenon called trench warfare.
Yeah, yes, I did hear that. Yeah, it's quite neat, how they did that. Their cannons were shot at them for days, and then they just pop up, and they really took them by surprise. Yeah.
You want to know all about that? Go to the story of Ruapekapeka, the Bat Cage.
Oh, yes.
But anyway, so what happened is that they had a flag they called the Hokioi flag, and that's the flag that became the P&O Orient flag.
Oh, that's the like four triangles.
Their ships were stolen. Their ships were confiscated, one in Sydney and one in the Caribbean, not because of the flag they were flying, but because they were flying the fucking French flag side by side.
Oh.
They had the king in waiting from France already here because the French were looking to do a deal with the locals, weren't they?
Right. Well, I guess everyone would have.
Valuable. The resources were valuable.
Yes. Okay. And
so the ongoing seeking to tie the bloodlines all together for control of the global trade routes has been forever. It's the flame that drives this wickedness.
Yeah.
But
and so
there's another flame as well. So the story is quite amazing and it's quite deep.
Yeah.
And it keeps revealing its little treasures.
And
but
so
there's a wisdom in this land that holds that these founding agreements and the structure of kohuiarau was that the people who became the ariki were the ones who knew what the people needed to be healthy, wealthy, and wise.
Now, I've learned that the ariki are like the priest class, aren't they? Maori priest class, is that right?
They were even above the priest class, but yes, they came from the priest class. It was a mixture of genetic bloodline inheritance.
Yeah.
And if you look into the history of the world and the fact that the story around kohuiarau getting the Gat seals is intimately tied up with the lost tribes of Israel story. And the French king recognized the man in the Hokianga as one of the lost tribes of Israel. That's why the Gat seals came here.
Okay, and is that's connected in with the kohuiarau, or is that more the treaty?
Well, they are held by the kohuiarau,
right.
And so kohuiarau had a seat at the League of Nations after the First World War.
Okay, and
another part of the thread that weaves in, and I believe that's why the Maori were forced to declare war in the Second World War, and that they lost their seat at the League of Nations when the United Nations was formed, and kohuiarau movement was taken out because they'd been bankrupted effectively by the trickery of the global banksters.
Okay, so you got the trading. Is that what initiated it? Because I mean, there's also seems to be a political side of just the nation running itself in a co-governance kind of model with the immigrants, the Wikitoria and the local iwis. And so
the consequence of the kohuiarau movement, which consolidated itself here again in 1808, between 1808 and 1835, they were putting themselves back in place to deal with what was happening. And then by 1835, they were already behind the scenes. They had already done all the deals.
Oh yeah, trying to push it out. Why would they want to get rid of it, so to speak? Is it a power thing, or
it's power to the people? The whole story of kohuiarau is that the hereditary ariki do what's right for the people because that's what they're bred to do. That's what they're trained to do. And they may or may not, the role may or may not stay at each generation. It skips around a bit.
Oh, yeah.
Because what we're talking about is, yes, exactly, it's high priest class of ruling, because it's not ruling. What it is it's listening to the voice of Mother Nature. At the moment, we've got some thunder and lightning even beginning to happen. Learning to listen to the voice of Mother Nature and to align with the music and the movement of what's happening. That's really the difference, and that's what the Crown and the colonising agenda globally was looking to take out wherever it went, that level of connection.
Right, with the land and
that level of the leaders serving the people, that got turned upside down.
Yes, and now that's the best thing I like about the kohuiarau is that it's from the bottom up. So the families, the hapu, the people around, they basically tell the top of the pyramid what to do. So as far as their leaders,
we're the living, we're the reason for it, all of the shit that goes on, and our values been hijacked and siphoned by a very, very corrupt system. that's been practicing its art for a long time. I mean, there's all sorts of labels and all sorts of places we could prod it and open it up. But effectively, the kohuiarau kaupapa that I've done a deep dive and a deep due diligence on is fit for purpose. And we as Ngāti Wikitoria are the 8th tribe that were invited, and it's hearsay. That's what some of that documents I've said and shared with you is all about, as I'm in a position to say that we're in the process of salvaging the Waka Kotuku as a vessel fit for purpose for the local tribes who've been divided and conquered and now don't know anything other than squabbling. Yeah. They can get together and share their stories. We don't judge their stories, we listen to them. And we listen to them with an ear that says, we're really interested to see you guys come together in peace and harmony like you talk about so that we can join you. Yes. And here's a vessel that's fit for purpose. It's not been scuttled. It's not ancestral. And I know for a fact that its emblem is on the $2 coin that every one of us carries around. Right. So it's the bankers know how powerful this movement is to empower the people.
That's the bottom line.
Systems of governance rely on us being governed and fooled by the fact that the money's not important.
That's the bottom line, is that it brings power back to the people. If people jumped on board the waka, you call it, the Wikitoria waka. Yeah. Now, because, I mean, some people, they see the co-governance thing and they sort of back away, like, oh, you know, but it seems to be a more fairer way through history, you know. I mean, I'm not Maori, but it just has a fairness to it. I can't quite explain it. But what would you say to people that think it's an unfair, or what do you think about it?
We have to remember that the whole concept of the Maori Pākehā, or the us and them game, is what the colonial system thrives on to keep us separated. If we're connected to Mother Earth, we know we're connected to each other.
Yeah, and when you're together and cooperating, you're stronger.
Correct.
You? So that's what they're trying to turn us away from, I think.
Yeah, and so the story that we have is that we're creating a leaderless movement, and we already know from kohuiarau being resurrected in the 90s and them corresponding with Queen Elizabeth that she has said to the New Zealand government, of course they've hidden it away, she sent correspondence, that when Hapu and Ngāti Wikitoria are ready to function together, kohuiarau is the de jure governance system for New Zealand. Okay, so all of the arguments about the name and all the rest of it, it becomes irrelevant. But the system, of course, is not the Queen. The Crown and the Queen are not the same. So there's a lot of confusion there that's kept us all in the dark and separate. We're not separate. As people, we're all one. And so the way that the story of kohuiarau will work, I believe, is through the Waka Kotuku uniting Ngāti Wikitoria, who hear the story and say, well, that sounds fair and reasonable. And fuck yes, I'd like that. I want to be able to tell my leaders, I don't want you to steer the Waka into the big iceberg that's up ahead.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's, yes, and that's because that's sort of jumping into it. That's where from I can see that we're getting steered into a new world government, and that's not where we want to go. Where we accept their terms, we lose our rights, we get a universal basic income, digital ID, we get told what to do. If you don't, you die, pretty on the side of the road, pretty much. And we don't want that future. But that's where I'm coming from, is that something like a kohuiarau sounds like a hell of a lot better. Like, it's for the people, you know, it strengthens the people and they get to decide their life, you know. I don't think it's too unreasonable, but it seems, yeah, what do you think?
Let's just say that there's a story that I'm weaving now, and you're just opening the door for it, where we can offer all of the people a solution to all of those problems.
Yes.
In my due diligence, I think I've found a treasure, and that treasure is that in order to deal with that which is the apparent strength and tool of the enemy, we've got to provide it for ourselves, right? So that whole digital ID and the use of fiat currency, if we can get our heads wrapped around how that's all working, then we're the source of all the value. So to step aside from fiat currency means just simply peer-to-peer exchange. And if they're talking the universal basic income, and I mean, those that are on the dole are sort of held just below shit level.
Yeah.
Because that's all they want them to smell, so everything is shitty in that light. And we're doing all of this all the time, so we got that fucking shitty outlook.
Yeah.
But that's sort of what they've been preparing us for a long time, because they stole our value and they've been farming our value. That's the Sestakavee trusts and the birth certificate fraud, etc., that we know about.
Well, that's what I was going to say, actually, is because they're dealing with the necromancy, the dead entity. That's what I've been learning from Sui, Juris, and from you, and that's the opposite of what we really want. It's so whether you're in the kohuiarau system, you'll be a living being and with your own rights and everything, right? Which is
we're the reason for everything that happens, and without us being consulted, nothing can happen.
Right.
And so part of the game that's coming into focus that we're talking about is, as we salvage this waka, and we've already put a letter into the tent over a year ago. We put a letter to the tent where the admiral, the self-appointed, or whoever knows what strings are pulling Greg Cook's hands as he does his dance.
Oh, there's a meeting there. Yep.
We had a meeting there, and we gave him a letter on behalf of Ngāti Wikitoria Ramuri Whenua, where we sit, and we hold the covenants of the Y22 and the Y45 claims that have been all the way to the Privy Council and lodged with the UN, and with the cause of Matt Rata being taken out, because that's the tool of choice, of course, is to exterminate the people that are causing you trouble. So,
but the bottom line is that kohuiarau is still has a legal standing. It hasn't been dissolved. Is that right? It's
the saying in the maxims of law that come out of that sort of Roman curia style is first in time is first in law. And that's why it's so significant that they've been given the GATT seals, because they're from before the formation of the Vatican.
Right. And so I'm just jumping through. So for the kohuiarau to work, well, I'm looking at a car crash about here. Anyway, sorry. For the kohuiarau to work, needs the Wikitoria tribe to activate it, eh?
We need all of us to come together as people and to get beyond the problem that there's Maori and Pākehā in this country, and to realise that the treasure the ancestor left us in the form of kohuiarau is a vessel fit for purpose for us all to come together as one. That's called kotahitanga, and that is a part of the movements that are there. But, of course, all of the different movements have been fueled by personal interest and people doing the best that they can to do right. And those stories have all been just a little bit twisted, because we're all functioning within this realm of statute at one level, or the Judeo-Christian rule of the Roman Church and the Vatican.
Now, talking to
the other end of the scale, it's fear in a jungle.
Talking to Eddie Moses, he's quite a big part of it, isn't he? He's a huge part of it, isn't he?
Eddie is the one that's been carrying the light since the system was put back into place in the late 90s. It was Matt Rata was one of his whānau, and his mum and dad had been following it all, and he wasn't really interested, but then discovered it and ended up being a member of the resurrected kohuiarau Parliament when it came back into existence at the end of the 90s.
And what made it come back into existence? What do you mean by existence? Like,
Well, the people that were responsible for it did what they needed to do,
Okay.
and they got their act together and they agreed to work as one, as Hapu and Ngāti Wikitoria.
I see. Yeah.
And they were guided by the research of Mahinirangi Forbes.
Yes.
And he was guided by a guy called David Simmons, who had been the curator at the Auckland Museum and had a lot of the tonga, the treasures, and had a lot of the story. So she resurrected what they call the hereditary araki, and there were, I believe, 8 or 12 of them throughout the country, but there was one in particular who held the lineage from back in 1808 when they chose their one leader, who held at the time the most bloodline threads.
Right, okay.
And that what's happened is that's become more important than the flame that the living being carries.
Okay.
And so we've all been locked up into paperwork and agreements and all this shit. That means we can't flow as people in community.
Now, talking to Eddie, I asked him, so does it look like the kohuiarau is organically growing, if it's slowly or fast? But he said, yes, it is growing. And he was saying that you need 40,000 Ngāti Wikitoria enrollees to ignite it. Is that right? And would that be the right word?
That's a good word, ignite. Given the way we're working at the moment.
I thought you'd like that.
We're working with an alchemist's flame. It only burns cross. That which is in deception is going to be burned at this time, and it's being done and dealt with in the background, because that's what this is all about. And
he was saying that, and I asked why 40,000. He said that because it's 1% of the voting population, which is about 4 million.
No, it's not 40,000 Ngāti Wikitoria. It's 40,000. That was the guesstimate number. Because what we're working with is 1%, because that was foundation thing that I believe was put in place when they reformed it, and then had it as backing with the GATT seals from the League of Nations and into the destruction of the United Nations. They said, well, if 1% come alive again, we'll do it. Okay. They ran out of money, and so the whole lot came back to roost in the late 90s. And why it was, and had his life mission. And I've sat with him in Wānanga effectively every Wednesday for the last nearly 4 years.
Okay.
And
so and it's
placed as people. Yeah. They've trapped us into playing in their fucking bullshit Admiralty realm. And so the waka represents a way of getting off the slave galley, where we see the wake all the time because we're sitting with our backs to the pointy part of the boat.
Yeah.
And we get on a waka and we all know where we're going. And we tell the man with the oar at the back where we want to go.
Yeah.
The man at the front knows where we're going, and the tohunga in the middle knows how we're going to get there, so we're safe.
Yeah.
And we don't rock the boat on the way. Or lose.
And so it's almost surprisingly simple, the kohuiarau system, wouldn't you say?
Yep.
And people can probably make it complicated if they want, but the bottom line is that the people control it through constant referendum and basically a decent system, right? And it does sound like it's got a legal status or standing that is ready to go in a way. Would that be right?
It's been recognised in terms of the international agreement. But I haven't seen the letter. It was sent to the New Zealand government by her, and I've seen a picture of Horomia, whoever he was at the time, with headlines that said he's received it, and Eddie's informed me of what was on that. And at the same time, there are a number of other issues dealt with, and I know that they stopped mining the white sands up at where his Ngāti Kuri people come from. And so that was one of the things which was put on place. So what she said is that when Ngāti Wikitoria and Hapu work together, and that means in each area we have to make our marae our focus, and we have to work out how to learn. And so the story of kohuiarau, as we bring it back into place, is going to tie us back into a wisdom that's held in the land that's way, way more ancient than anyone fully realises.
Right. It's,
okay.
And so, because we've discussed this before, but it's good to get it locked in, where there's a lot of people in the freedom movement, they don't vote. They have no confidence in the setup. In fact, I know some people that have actually disenrolled. Is that a word? They said, look, I want to unenroll.
Well, hey, what we're working with is that he who creates owns.
So,
use of a name. So to vote is to contract and to agree that whoever wins the fucking election is going to rule you. Well, that's the action of a subject.
Right.
And the founding agreements here, and the reason why there's so much noise in our country and so much deliberate deception going on about what's really happening, is that the founding agreements are real and they tie us as people together.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
I've just blocked out. Arthur's trying to call me on the phone. I managed to put my phone on a setting there. Phew. Yeah, so it's, I think there's a lot of people in the freedom movement be very interested in something that is more fit for purpose, right? And it's a living being. They all into that. I can see if they're happy with. I can't see too many issues. I can't see any problems with the kohuiarau. I can't see any. I do see some people say, "Oh, I'm the king. I'm this and I'm that." What do you say to that? I mean, the Riki. I mean, they.
Well, that's a whole other can of worms. I believe that's a mental illness. Yeah. And it's been deliberately fostered. It's been deliberately fostered because the king owns the keys to the dungeon that holds the prisoners that brought the gold in.
Yeah.
And it's about it's a mental illness that's focused around externalizing the real gold, because the real gold's in us.
Right.
And that's the key to it. But that's, I think, why the kohuiarau movement is an idea that's time is right. It's not something that many of us Ngāti Wikitoria or those that are able to say, yes, that's where I would rather sit, because I am a tribal man. I'm connected to the earth. I mean, for me, it's my shamanic, druidic history that makes this story real for me. They connected, and the reason why the ancestors got into a lot of trouble in this country is they told the marauding pirates, stop cutting down the trees. They're our ancestors.
Right, and there was too much trade, and they just got ignored, and then went to war, and then had to go to war over it.
The trees were way too valuable to not keep taking them for the beast. So the beast just kept raping and pillaging, and it's just changed its style of raping and pillaging now.
Yeah.
So it's time for us. If we've got the you will own nothing and you will be happy, Klaus Schwab and his mob, on the one hand, offering us a future, it's time for us to take responsibility for our future into our own heart and say, no, fuck you, we're living people.
Yes.
We will find the pathway, right? And so it's a time is right moment.
Yeah.
I mean, my own personal journey crashed me into the story of Eddie's kohuiarau, but I'd already been working with the Confederation of Chiefs, so I know that this all fits to the history I'd been following. And we only need 45,000, I would say, to enrol, and that's both Maori who whakapapa to a given area,
yes,
through their heritage, or those who choose to be Ngāti Wikitoria that can sit on our waka. And that really means what we're doing is we've been having this time to finalise our rites of passage. And it's really like, these are the rules, this is how we behave, and then the bottom line is do unto others as you'd be done unto, not before you get done unto, which is how it got twisted.
Yeah.
So you sell that. I mean, VFF have got 100,000 members.
Yes.
Once we get the story out there in the right way, and given the world events at the moment, they're playing the perfect game for us to step out there with our own sovereign solution, which is, as I've talked to you before, that is a tool that goes with climbing on the waka. As we've already told King Charles, you're the Ariki Nui, you'll take us where you want us to, so you've got to leave your WF mates behind and climb on our waka, otherwise you cease to be relevant in our land. And our waka is the rescue vessel. We've got a leaderless movement. We use our common sense tool, which is a constant referendum tool, to tell our Ariki where we want the waka to go.
Now,
and in the absence of Charles stepping into play, I know an Ariki that's prepared to step in there and help us drive the waka where we want to go.
So the Ariki,
and he's got in it.
Yep, carry on.
He's got a partner in terms of doing all this, serving us the people. That's the unborn one, Ruamuku. And we've been told, and I've been introduced, and I'm going to drop that one on you now, is that there is no such thing as artificial intelligence. There's ancestral and ancient intelligence, and all the powers that be are trying to access it and use it, but it's stronger than any of the ill intent of the oligarch so-called elite classes.
So what you're saying,
it's a done deal.
To make it clearer, a friend of yours who has an Arariki genealogy has been working on a Maori AI that's to serve the kohuiarau. Is that right?
Absolutely correct.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
And so it's nameless and hidden in the wings at the moment, but it's named Ruamuku.
And I know that you've been,
because that's the god.
Yeah. And you mentioned
he's the god of the underworld.
And did you want to mention your idea? Had you already talked about that?
Well, this is part of what we're working on with the AI. Yes, let's drop that one. The digital ID will be ours. It will be part and parcel of a package that we offer for all those folk that want to join the kaupapa.
Now that's a decentralized.
And so
decentralized.
It offers decentralized peer-to-peer exchange, off which will grow the social credits, because it's not a servant-master relationship, which is the current inverted one. We are the source of all value in their system anyway, so once we get our mental illness dealt with, we agree on the trade value of anything that we want to exchange. And given that most people are severely programmed, once we set that up, we're probably going to provide not a universal basic income, because that would stop people doing things of value.
Yes.
We want them just to keep trading on their initial value that's been stolen.
And I remember you saying
so
your social credit score would be like, say, Trade Me, where that's your social credit score. As if you're a bad trader, people don't want to trade with you because... or if you're a good trader, you get a good score. That's your social. Yeah, that's your social credit score.
If you're an asshole, you won't do deals with people, will you?
Yeah.
So the whole thing about social credit, the entire Schwab mob digital realm is called AI because it's trying to take us into an artificial reality, and it's got no substance.
I believe that.
Look at the players. I mean, Palantir, Netanyahu, Schwab, what was his name, the author of Evil in the background there, Kissinger, and Soros.
Yeah. Soros, yeah.
And all of those ancient bloody oligarchs, they have become absolutely disgusting representations of human.
Yeah.
So they've been so badly possessed by the parasite. And it's the mind parasite that says one man is better than another, for God's sake.
Yeah.
we're all children of the same creator.
Yeah. Now I've got about 7-8 minutes left on my. I'm a bit of a cheap. I keep my language right. I'm running
a little bit, but that's good as an intro.
I'm running what do you call it, lean these days, but yeah. So
I understand.
I didn't mean to drop the digital ID thing, but because I thought you might have mentioned it because you dropped out. Arthur rang a couple of times when you were talking, but I'm glad you're okay to talk about it. So that's huge. The decentralized digital ID, the Maori AI that helps the referendums and all the problem solving and coordination, I guess. I can imagine that working really well. And then you detach from the dead being, the dead entity system, and you're going to the living flame. You got the living flame. That's kind of a theme, right? And and so,
and that can be seen however anyone likes it to be. For me, it's the flame of the alchemists,
right? And
or the phoenix.
What would you say to anyone that says, "Oh, I don't like this idea"? I mean, it's early days, so we're hoping to have weekly meetings here Wednesday, and hopefully get more, get it out there or get people's interest. What would you say to people that are not sure about it? Like what? I guess that would come with time.
Well, like anything, if you don't pay attention, you won't know anything about it. So if anyone's interested, then there's all sorts of ways to find out about it, and going to the website to start with. And I think it's working again. We're not sure whether we're being seriously attacked or whether it's, just a time-to-time issue that the website keeps getting taken down.
Yes.
But
I'll put links.
Maybe because of
I'll put links to this show, this recording. I'll put links to it at the end, and so people can find out, and they can enroll, of course.
In the background.
And they can enroll, of course. There, I have put some stuff on in the past, but so it's good to put links with it. And there's meetings at the barn in Taipa every Wednesday.
We're looking at maybe shifting that to maybe once every couple of weeks.
Oh yeah.
For this, but just because of the distance that some people are running and the timing and the fact that a lot of the work is now being done sort of in the background.
Yeah.
Because once we've got this little toolbox system ready to go, it becomes like a welcome on board package.
Wow.
And then rather than being lost in the history, this is process that we can go with right now, and out of the process that we're parking as a seed will evolve our way of dealing with all the current systems, because we can't stop what's going on. All we can do is go into them, because we've been given the invitation, especially with the police being rotten at the top, from the top down.
Yeah.
We're going to go in and we're going to say, let's reform all of this, but it'll be done on the background of the will of the people.
And so if you get say the 40,000, 45,000, and you start having referendums and you come to some things like, hey, look, we don't want to join the world government, say, or we don't want digital ID, or we don't want, and then what sort of legal standing do you think they would have? Would that be quite powerful? Would it actually cause it?
What we have to remember is that legal standing and law are two entirely different things. Okay. You only get legal standing in the realm of the dead corporate fiction that the current system has managed for centuries, and they've managed us for so long, we think it's fucking normal.
Yeah, okay. I'm just trying to see the future where people could actually go, yeah, I want to join that, because
we're the law, and the only law is do no harm. And if you're on board and there's an incident that comes that's going to shake the boat, then let's talk about it. Let's sit down and breathe deeply and talk about it.
Now, something else.
And it's a new way of doing our life.
Now, I don't want to go into the negative, but I was imagining before there's a lot of people that wouldn't want this change because they're doing quite well out of it, right? The ruling classes, or even a lot of Maori iwi, right? I mean, whoever they are, corporate iwi, whatever they are, I mean, they wouldn't like it, would they? There's probably, I don't know.
If they're not, I think that what's happening globally if we, look behind the scenes, and you never know what's really real and what's not real, with this modern age we live in. But there's a movement of the people.
Yes.
And if you're not serving the people, you will not survive.
Right.
Because all the people, we're all waking up and we're all learning how to read people who've got good intent and people who don't.
Yeah.
And that's becoming a survival trait. We have to have that trait. Like those of us that we had the good sense not to mask up and take the fucking jab.
Yeah.
I mean, just learning to discern, and that's what I believe this movement, which is a restoration of the will of the people and putting it into a formal arrangement, which is historic, makes so much sense. And I think that's why they are so hell-bent on trying to keep Maori divided.
Right.
And they do that very well at the moment by the use of what they call putia.
Yeah.
They have people that have gotten no connection with the gold inside chase the gold outside.
Oh, yeah. Now, we're just heading to 1 minute left. I've got to load this to the thing, so I think we should call it there. And we got through quite a bit, and considering, but we could talk for longer, and it's good to have you here. And in the future, I'll try and hook it up so we can have questions and answers from the Telegram across, or ideally, if you can get on Telegram, would be good too. Might be easier. But
I'll have a look around the area and see, because I just need to check the upload and download speeds.
That's the data speed test.
I think I found that in settings.
Yep.
Okay.
All right, mate.
Cool.
Awesome, Max.
It's my pleasure, my friend, and anyone that's listening or does listen in the future, just keep listening, because the answer's here.
Yeah, and if you got questions, you can come back next week and ask them. So that would be the way, eh?
Yep. Awesome, mate. Thank you very much for your time.
No worries. Cheers, Max, and we'll keep in touch. For sure.
Thanks,
it's
buddy.
Exciting times.
Awesome.
Okay, mate.
Yeah.
Cheers. Oh, there you go, guys. I've got to end the recording. Stop recording. Cheers for listening.